What's up? This is Max Sinclair here, one more time.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
So today we are going to do a massive brain dump of strategy and thinking out of my head into yours, focused on a random e-commerce brand that we're going to get off the internet. I do this a lot of the time when clients come and speak to me. They want to do an initial audit. We look at their company and we look at which platforms are correct for them. We look at how we might approach those platforms, what kind of campaigns might we produce. I'm going to go through all of these things and I'm going to just start digging into what I actually would produce if I was creating Facebook ads, Google ads, etc. And then this should hopefully give you hundreds of little insights into how you might approach it and how a professional of this industry approaches these things. I've been running ads now for around 5 or so years.
It's been many years.
And have spent millions on different platforms across Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, TikTok. We're getting over a 5 times, around a 5.3 times ROAS average across our client base, which is very good. Some of our clients much higher, 7, 8, 9, 10 times ROAS, and others much younger businesses who are a little lower than that. But this stuff works. We've seen this tested across many clients and many campaigns.
How about a magic trick?
And so it's good stuff to be learning, good stuff to implement. You'll have a good chance of finding some great returns if you follow some of the advice that we're going to go through today. So with that said, let's dig into it. Let's find ourselves a brand to audit. So let's go to Google. Let's do skincare. Skincare is a niche that is pretty big, pretty popular, and goes well across many different niches because it has an amazing lifetime value. We work with quite a few skincare and beauty brands. Let's try men's skincare. I am a man, so I know a little bit more about this. There's a few different companies already running Google ads, for example. Let's look at a couple of different companies here. Let's not go for a massive major brand because it's not so much fun in my eyes. I'm looking for one that's a bit further down that isn't already getting lots of exposure so that we could try to help them with their marketing. Okay, cool. I think let's go with this one. Shiseido. Hello, Shiseido. If you're going to ever watch this in the future, lovely to meet you. So we are going to use Shiseido as our example, I think. So that's interesting. They've got a 15% off. I'm going to do a little note of that. So we're going to bring in this little notes document. I'm guessing they might do other factors. They have makeup and other things like that. So it looks like they're not just exclusively men's. So let's have a look around firstly. So they've got a variety of different products. This is their skincare. This is, they've got a men's section, but they do then also have a big collection of loads of others. So it looks like it's a women's brand as much as it is a men's brand, if not more. It's a pretty common situation with lots of skincare brands that they've got a priority towards women because women spend more on this stuff, but they do have a range for men. And then they've got sun care as well. They've got an entire makeup section. The pricing is kind of around in the middle, I'd say. It's not budget, but it's also not super high end, so I'd say it's somewhere in the middle as a brand goes. And then they've got gifts and skincare sets. So this is really interesting to me. Skincare sets can do very well within Facebook ads especially, so I'll definitely be taking that into account. Okay, great. So I've got an idea for them. So first question is, which paid platforms might I use? I think I'm going to go with, realistically, Facebook ads is still the big giant that crushes it for brands like this. Skincare, beauty, fashion, these are the big niches which still are covering the world of Instagram especially, and they're very visual, obviously. They're products which are made for an aesthetic or improving aesthetics, and so naturally it's going to make sense to use platforms like Facebook ads. So first question, which platform? Facebook ads, definitely. And then beyond that, looking at their products, it's very possible that they should be looking at Google ads as well. We obviously just found them through Google, so someone looking for men's skincare. So Google ads is definitely a worthwhile option. Which platform not to use? I would say not LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a B2B network, so realistically it'd just be a very expensive way to try to get traffic in, and this isn't a high ticket item in the same way as like a B2B relationship. Also maybe TikTok, but not at the beginning. TikTok is, from our experience, a great network in many ways, but one not that we start with. We generally find that Facebook ads has a better odds of finding a profitable ROAS for any brand that we've tried so far. So we use TikTok, but it more as a kind of tertiary channel. So after we've got Facebook and Google and these other more major platforms working, then we look towards TikTok. There is a lot of drama going on right now with TikTok as well, that you know, who even knows if it's still going to be running in the US in 6 months from now. So that is something to be aware of. Whereas Facebook and Google, even if Facebook doesn't look so beautiful and glorious at the moment and Google's had some problems, they're both still pretty stable in comparison to any other platform. So more of a stable, safe, long-term investment. So yeah, I'd look at Facebook and Google to start with. I'm pretty happy with that decision. I think let's start with Facebook to begin with. So Facebook ads. Let's say if anybody works with us, we generally recommend you start with at least £2,000 ad spend per month, and the same for Google. So okay, this is the budget I'm going to assume that we have. I'm going to assume it's someone who's got at least somewhat of a decent budget. If you've got 1,000 or less, you can kind of do some of this, but you have to be a much smaller, more limited version of it. So 2,000 is the level that we find really is a tipping point, that you get enough learning through the system and enough conversions going through that you can have the conversion optimizing strategies actually work across platforms like Facebook and Google and LinkedIn. So that's why we have a £2,000 minimum. So I'm going to assume that we have that within this structure. It would also not be a very fun video if I only had £500 to spend, because you can't really do much with £500. So okay, so £2,000. I'm going to go with a fast version of what I think I would do with these. I would go, if we have a client sign up with us, we spend literally days digging into their brand. We do competitive analysis, we do all sorts of other stuff, but I'm going to do the quick version. So £2,000. I'm going to say roughly 70-80% of budget to cold, top of funnel, top, and then 20-30% to remarketing, off. And then let's say we've got that roughly in place, and I'm assuming that this company is established, they've got traffic coming, they've probably already got most of their things in place. If I click this Wappalizer app, I can see that they've got Google Analytics in place, they've got GA4 set up already, they've got the Facebook Pixel, they've got a lot of the basics in place at the very least. So they've got tracking, so I'm going to assume that they've already got audiences built up. And so what we might do if it's a much younger brand with much smaller amounts of traffic to the site is we might start with 100% of the budget to top of funnel and just drive loads of traffic, try and get some learning through it, and then start remarketing a week or two into running the campaigns. But in this case, I think they already would have remarketing audiences that we could start with straight away. So for the top of funnel, I might assume that they've got one good image. What are we going to test? This is what I'm talking about here. So one great single image, one great video maybe, one great carousel. These are the types of creators I might be thinking about. And then of course, above this more really, we want to think which products. So I would basically go into what are their top sellers. You can literally go to their best sellers section, which is great they have this page. So okay, so there's actually some good price points on these as well. So if they've got these products, I might look at possibly this one and this one, two different products of theirs, £70 and £197, both with a discount, which is nice. So let's open these two up. So these are the two products. That's what we might be testing, because we want to be testing which product is actually the best performing. If they have got a best sellers place though, you want to focus on the thing that you know is very likely to sell well at the start, and then you can spread out into other areas and try out other things. And then we want to test the different creatives. So whether it's a single image, a video, a carousel, we'll see what the client has to start with, and then we'll base off of that. And then we'll be testing different audiences. So this is creative testing. This is product testing, audience testing, and then we've got copy testing. So if we were to do this, just to point out, we want to have a clean testing matrix where we create campaigns and ad sets split up so that we can discover which of these copies is best, which of these audiences is best, which of this is best, and which product is best. So we have to have them split up correctly. So if we were to do this, that means that we would be having 3 audiences times 3 times 3 times 2 would be like 54 different variations, if I've done the math right there. So £2,000 divided by 54, 37 per month divided by 30 days in a month means only $1.23 per day in budget. So we have, or pounds per day in budget. So we have a minimum generally of £5 per day per ad set. So this is too much testing for us to try to do. So we would love to do all of this, but with £2,000 we can't. So I might drop one of the copies, I might drop one of the audiences, and then I might need to drop one of these. So from our experience, I've seen carousels do best. Most often, videos can do well if it's a good video, and then the same with images. If it's a good image, it can do well. So I'm going to try getting rid of the single image and assume that they've got a video and a carousel. So now we've got 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. So it's 2 times, again, if I'm doing my maths right, say 16 variations. 2,000 divided by 16 is $125 a month, divided by 30 days is $416. That's still quite tight. I'm going to allow myself to go an inch under the £5 minimum at the beginning, because what I think of when I think of doing this testing stuff is trying to make sure that we have some level of testing on all of the major areas that are involved in making a campaign work. So the product, if we had just picked only this serum, maybe that serum is not actually popular, or it just doesn't do well on Facebook ads. And so even if we had perfect creative, perfect audience, perfect copy, we might still get just 0 results, or very bad results, or really good results, and not know that it's connected to the product. Whereas if we have 2, we at least have a 50-50 chance that one of them might work out well for us. And so we want to use this like testing power relatively evenly at the beginning when we don't know anything. And then maybe we'll launch and we'll see that actually we are just getting nobody to engage with the video at all. Well, okay, well then maybe it's one of these factors or maybe we see clearly that the carousel absolutely annihilated the video, so we'll drop the video and we'll keep the carousel and just use the carousel. And then maybe we'll do more testing on different audiences and copy and move that testing power to different parts of this testing that we need to be doing across the various factors across Facebook ads. So this is the kind of thing I might look to create if I had Facebook ads and I was just doing top of funnel. There is also remarketing. So in the remarketing side of things, we very likely would start with maybe a 45-day stack remarketing campaign, which is where you combine any website visits, Insta engaged, video views, etc. into one big remarketing audience. And then you create a campaign around that, and you would just test different creatives and or copies. So let's just say campaign 1 is great. So then we're going to be doing some testing here as well. But just to point out, if I try to do all of this, there's not enough budget to do that, to have that £5 minimum. But I might do less testing in here somehow. I might just pick just one product, or just do one audience, or just do one creative or something else. Or I might just start with the cold, let it run for a week like I say, pick the winners, and then move some budget over to the remarketing side of things. But just to point out, this really shows why we ask for that £2,000 minimum. So this is a really quick example of what I might do with Facebook ads for this brand. I won't go into more detail. There's endless more depth to this. I would for sure be using that 15% discount that they talked about on their website, probably just for the remarketing initially, or I might use it for cold straight away as well. And really it's a case of just talking to the client, obviously in much more detail, talking to Shiseido and trying to find out, what are their best sellers, what are the creatives that got good responses, and finding out this information to try to shortcut as much of this learning as possible. Testimonials are really good in copy, so I'd very likely start with that with a brand like this especially. And so let's go into Google Ads. So £2,000. This is a e-commerce brand, so we would look to do a shopping campaign and a search campaign. So shopping campaigns, we would do a standard shopping campaign, not a smart shopping campaign as in a performance max campaign they are now called. We would be doing a standard shopping campaign. So this means we have complete control. We would very likely look to ask them maybe what is their top 20 best selling products. And then we would add those specifically. And we would then use Merchant Center to adjust and edit the titles of those, so that just because it says skin filler serum, we would extend that name within Google Ads to have more keywords added to that, but it doesn't have to be affecting their website. And then that means it's more likely for somebody to click on them over somebody else. Like if I type in men's skincare into Google again, and we look at a couple adverts, you can see over here on the shopping, this just says Baz Bundle. I don't know what the hell Baz Bundle is. I don't know why I would click on that. If I'm looking for men's skincare, I want to be reassured that I'm clicking on products which are made for men. I want to see the keywords which I'm looking for by Googling for. So for example, Dr. Barbara This says men's essential set. It's a bit of a longer one. This one has a little bit more detail to it. Most of these others have really good detail. This one, for example, is a great one. So you can see the complete face kit, followed up with some nice keywords. It gives a bit more specifics of set with 5 face cares, like maybe someone's looking for a set, and then they have their brand name as well at the very end there. So this is a great way to kind of add more keywords in, but you wouldn't want to have on your website a product with this long of a name. So this is why we use Merchant Center to do that. We'd realistically probably put, I'd say 60, maybe even 70% of the budget into standard shopping, into shopping. Let's say 60 actually, because I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to say 30% of the budget into search. So search is harder to make work for e-commerce comparative to shopping. Shopping is often a good option, but there is many cases where that's not true. So especially if you have a particularly high value product, or if you're a particularly unusual, unique product, then search campaigns can be really good. But it's when someone's looking for more a company that does a thing rather than just a specific individual product. So search is definitely worth testing, but we would put less budget behind it. We don't always do a search campaign, but in this case I think I probably would, because we've seen them work for skincare brands in the past. When someone's looking for a new skincare brand, especially if it was like a men's skincare brand, I think that's worth testing. And then we would also do a brand campaign, which is where we basically protect the name of Shiseido. So I would literally just be putting that as a campaign where just the keyword of Shiseido, and we would only have a budget of 5 to 10% going into this campaign. We would use a manual CPC campaign bidding strategy. For search and standard shopping, we would very likely start with a maximize clicks bidding strategy, and then once we get past 40 conversions in a set period, we would switch over to maximize conversions. And we might use maximize conversion value is often better for e-commerce because you have range of products which all have different prices. So maximize conversion value allows for taking that into account, whereas just maximize conversions is just the quantity of conversions. So you'd be selling a lot more cheap items if you did that approach. So yeah, this is the approach I'd take. Standard shopping, search campaign, brand campaign. Within the search campaign, you'd create multiple ad groups which would be focused on the secret source of this brand. So Shiseido, if we go to their homepage, so the fact that they're interested in technology, they've got this Japanese heritage behind them. So you can try and read some of these things and then understand what is the unique secret source of this brand that outdoes another. So the fact that they do skincare, but they have this like origin of from Japan or whatever it might be, there's going to be searches that people are looking for which is particularly right for them over others, and so they've got a competitive advantage with their brand name and other factors within this, and the fact that they're from Tokyo, it looks like. So this is what I'd be playing with. I come up with multiple ad groups, split it up, create 2 responsive search ads per ad group, and then start running and just see how things go. Let clicks go through those systems and ultimately drop down to the winners. So that's the search campaign, the brand campaign I've already covered. Those are the main things I think I do. So beyond that, in the future, we would look to scale. So once we start to show results with the client, or you start to see results, increase your budget as soon as you can. The more money going through the system, the more you can learn. For example, like you saw in this, if you want to be able to do more audiences to test, like if I could have done 5 audiences, 4 different creatives and 5 different products, I would be drastically more likely to find one product that's awesome, a video that's awesome, an audience that's awesome, etc. So that's why money matters in this game. The same with Google Ads. The more, if the cost per click is £1, we have 2,000 votes to discover which is the right type of campaign, which is the right ad groups, which is the right keywords, etc. to find you profitability. So the more you can spend, the better. So try to scale as soon as you can. We could look to TikTok in the future, but that would be a bit further down the line once we found profitability from Facebook and Google. I hope this has been helpful. I have just spammed you with stuff in this video. Hopefully it's been useful though. If you're in e-commerce, there's loads to take from this. If you are Shiseido or another skincare brand, then obviously even more so. Do get in touch if this is the kind of help that you need as a business. Otherwise, please do leave some comments if you have questions. Please do subscribe if this has been useful, and let me know if you like this kind of video. I enjoy doing these where I just spam knowledge at you and hopefully it comes out useful, but maybe they're not, and maybe I'm just rambling. So let me know either way, and otherwise I will see you in the next one.